he has had no real professional opponents other than Tommy Fury that were legitimate world-class boxers.
Yeah.
The problem is he was like a famous kid, and then no one took him seriously.
Yeah.
You just will never be a good fighter. So I wish that I could have knocked him out at the start. But as we saw,
He liked sparring.
Yeah.
When I watched it, which, you know, look, I paid for it. They got me. I thought it was going to be a real fight.
You know, but me, I'm going to speak my mind. I'm just going to keep it 100, man. Jake Paul is fugazi. He's fake.
That's how you feel.
Truly feel. I'll bust him up and his trainer in the same night.
Joe Rogan expresses surprise after Anthony Joshua claims that Jake Paul wanted their potential matchup to be prearranged. Joshua explains that he would only consider a genuine contest with real stakes. Rogan points out that several of Paul's previous victories have drawn criticism, with some alleging staged elements and overly cooperative opponents. Detractors argue these wins helped inflate records and rankings, strengthening championship narratives without facing top-tier competition. As a result, many fans continue to question the credibility and purpose of the events, sparking ongoing debate throughout the sports world.
Yeah. You know, like you would assume that wealth would take away your drive for
But
competition.
It hasn't, yeah.
He's also nuts, right? Just the fact that he's willing to fight the two-time heavyweight champion, former Olympic gold medalist, a guy who's gigantic in his prime, built like a Greek god.
Yeah.
And you're going to stand.
Joe Rogan comments that the match resembled a controlled training exchange more than a truly dangerous confrontation. He explains that although there were brief moments of suspense, the fight never reached a point where serious harm seemed imminent. Rogan notes that boxing can escalate quickly, so having both competitors leave without significant injuries is a good result. He emphasizes that protecting athletes is more important than generating excitement, and says he's relieved no one absorbed blows that could cause long-term damage.
You've known him for a long time. I've known him for a long time.
Chael Sonnen says the scenario falls apart when examined with common sense. He explains that a boxer with just 11 professional fights should not realistically be matched against a seasoned Olympic medalist. From Sonnen's perspective, the difference in skill, experience, and ring awareness is simply too large to overlook. He also highlights the size disparity, noting that the more accomplished fighter was not only far beyond Jake Paul's typical level of opposition, but also naturally larger. Sonnen argues that in legitimate competitive boxing, athletic commissions and coaching teams would never approve such a matchup under normal conditions. For him, the situation raises serious doubts about credibility and purpose. He suggests that when matchups disregard fundamental sporting logic, fans are justified in questioning whether what they are watching is true competition or primarily a promotional spectacle designed to generate attention rather than reflect authentic sport.
For Jake, or if I think that Joshua is more experienced or better, I believe I believe boxing's real. If boxing is an actual sport, if it is an actual sweet science, then of course a guy that's done it 11 times cannot compete with the Olympic champion. Of course. This is before you get size in there, before you get professional world titles in there. A guy that's done this 11 times cannot go into the Olympic Games and medal. If boxing, in fact, should be believed. I was with Portnoy. I liked it. I liked how he said that. So, you know, that's how I feel too. Because I'm also cheering for Jake Paul. But I get it. I know we're not going to win tonight. But that's a compliment to boxing. And it is very hard for people to digest that Anthony Joshua can't cut him off. He can't find him. He can't do anything with that reach. He can't go out there and rush him. He can't throw this kid in a corner and beat him up. That is disappointing to me. That is baffling to me. As an MMA guy, I will just share with you, that would not be a problem at all. At all. If a guy's running away from me, it would be absolutely no problem. And you could put the boundaries at the city line. You could put it at the state line. I will track him down. I will put him somewhere and I will beat the dog out of him. So in a ring, I get where that is really disappointing. I get it, but it doesn't change the fact that that's what happened. And then Joshua, by the way, has the right to turn to some other thing. Well, I'm saying he ought to cut him off, grab him, throw him in the corner, and go beat him up. Well, I'm saying that Joshua has the right to go, I could feel some stuff. I knew it was going to come my way, right? For Joshua to say, well, I had the experience and yeah, he was moving and yeah, I could have cut him off a little different. But I didn't mind the way this was going. I didn't mind that he was running. I knew he would slow down. I knew he would come to me eventually. Like, for that to be Joshua's mindset.
Joe Rogan explains that Jake Paul has consistently tried to establish himself as a legitimate competitor, stepping into the ring to show he can face authentic challenges. He notes that Jake performs best when matched against opponents who offer real tests rather than planned outcomes. However, Rogan says a potential matchup with Anthony Joshua would represent an entirely new level of difficulty. He points out that Jake has never gone up against someone with Joshua's size and strength, making it hard to judge his conditioning or how he would endure a full, high-intensity fight against an equally large and seasoned opponent. Rogan adds that while Jake has demonstrated ability and quickness, questions about his endurance and toughness against elite heavyweights remain unresolved, leaving fans intrigued but unsure.
We expect Jake Paul to be fighting like higher level competition. It's not because he has under 10 fights. It's because he talks a lot of shit.
Yeah, but that's also why we're talking about him.
And that's exactly true. But I think on both sides of the equation, we've got to like admit that a young fighter under 5 fights isn't fighting great competition. So if you're calling Jake Paul a legitimate boxer and then you're expecting him to do what legitimate boxers do, I'm not sure he's not doing that, and probably more.
That's what I'm saying about the knockout of Tyron Woodley, because it was just a regular boxer who's just coming up. And
Tim Bradley directly criticizes Jake Paul, calling him inauthentic and arguing that his bouts lack real competition. He claims Paul's matches often seem carefully arranged, with opponents appearing to follow a plan rather than engage in true competitive boxing. Bradley says these outcomes have allowed Jake to build a record that overstates his actual ability. He cautions fans not to confuse entertainment value with genuine skill or danger, stressing that while the events draw attention, they do not represent authentic boxing. In Bradley's view, this approach damages the sport's credibility and sends the wrong message to up-and-coming fighters.
But I can't knock you I can't knock your hustle when you've built something outside of boxing and you say, hey, yo, I'm coming over here to the sport now and I'm gonna pick and choose who I fight. Y'all come follow me. If they follow him, man, I just understand what it is. I know what I'm looking at. You're not gonna fool me over here. Save that stuff for them other people, because I'm not gonna believe that I'm the face of. No, you're not the face of boxing. I'm not giving you that, because that's for a lifer.
But that's what he believes.
That's cool. I can't knock him for that. People believe a lot of things for a lot of different reasons. I'm just saying, you can do all the rah-rah stuff. That's your business. But I just know what I'm looking at, right? But on the monetary side and it being an event, the truth is that when he does fight, it does bring attention around the sport. People debate, they argue, people want to see the fight. Is it legit? Is it him and Mike Tyson? No, it's an event.
Daniel Cormier commended Jake Paul for his willingness to take on Anthony Joshua, acknowledging the serious challenge involved. While he initially joked that a large payday might motivate anyone, he ultimately recognized the nerve it takes to face an experienced heavyweight after previously competing against much smaller opponents. Cormier pointed to Paul's athletic ability and technical growth, explaining that his footwork and game plan helped him avoid taking major punishment from Joshua's strength. He added that constant movement and evasive actions quickly drain energy, yet Paul was able to remain competitive against a top-level opponent. Drawing a comparison to wrestling, Cormier emphasized the repeated effort and mental toughness required to keep responding under pressure. He concluded that Paul's showing reflected confidence, adaptability, and dedication, noting that despite ongoing debate about his career path, he entered this matchup with seriousness and respect for both the challenge and the sport.
Like, what were your thoughts on that? I thought Jake Paul's a brave guy. Then I found out he made $100 million. I was thinking, well, anybody would fight for $100 million, but bro, I literally ran into Logan Paul in New York City, and I said to him, it was weird too, because I was going into a studio to interview Kamaru Usman for one of my shows, and Logan Paul was at the coffee shop. He's like, DC. I was like, what's up, Logan? Because he does a tremendous job in WWE. Yeah, Logan Paul does. I don't watch WWE, but I know that. Dude, you're huge. He might literally be the best professional wrestler in the world. Really? He's such an athlete, bro. Yeah. He's unbelievable. But I just stroking him right now. I swear to God, bro, it's unbelievable how good the kid is. Okay. From the moment he started doing it, he was really good. He can cut a promo, huh? He got a what kids say. Promo. He's got a promo but he's also good in the ring.
Okay.
He's really athletic. I said to him, I go, what type of safeguards do you have in place to make sure he doesn't get his head knocked off against Anthony Joshua? He's going to fight Gervonta Davis, who weighed in at 137 2 fights ago. So now you're going to go fight Anthony Joshua, who weighs all of 250? He said, all right. He said, he's going to just fight him. I go, man, he's very bold. And then what happened was he ran a lot.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. Everybody goes, even Eddie Hearn goes, he did better than Francis. And I'm like, well, Francis didn't move around much. Francis thought he could actually fight him because of what he did to Tyson Fury. Right? Couldn't. Tyson Fury might have overlooked him a little bit. And I think that's what happened. Like, he got caught with the right hand dropped. Anthony Joshua was like, I'm not taking any chances with this guy. So he fought him and he took him serious. But Francis didn't move. Jake did a good job of moving around for a long time. But all that moving costs energy. Right?
I mean, I used to spar with the Robert Guerrero here in Gilwood.
Yep.
And I would go in and spar with him. I'd tell people that I would spar with him for his first 4 rounds. He would do 12 rounds.
Yep.
He would use me as his warm-up rounds.
Yep.
And I was in fight shape. I wouldn't go and spar unless I was ready to fight. I got 2 or 3 weeks out from my I was ready to fight. And by the 4th round, I was fucking exhausted. And he would just make me miss. You know, if you miss more, it's the right word. It makes you more tired.
Especially when you're throwing big punches like Jake was throwing.
Yeah.
And then wrestling. It's like shooting double legs and shit. Like, all you look like Dylan Davis.
Oh, seconds, bro.
All that wrestling was crazy, dog. I was like, bro, have you ever in my life seen that much wrestling in a boxing match?
It was Dylan Davis, Logan Paul all over again.
Every time he would fall, you got to get up.
Yeah.
Every time you shoot, you got to get up.
It makes you more tense. It should be more iron off you. It's a worse shot.
I mean, and Anthony Joshua.
Eddie Hearn spoke thoughtfully about the recent matchup between Anthony Joshua and Jake Paul, explaining how the contest unfolded from a strategic standpoint. He said the plan was always straightforward. Stay composed, dictate the tempo, and slowly break Paul down before closing the fight decisively. Hearn noted that this method was intended to reduce unnecessary danger while still demonstrating clear control in the ring. In his view, the fight followed that blueprint exactly, highlighting Joshua's discipline and the value of a calm, calculated approach over reckless intensity. He added that this controlled execution helped keep the bout safe while still providing the suspense and excitement fans were hoping to see.
He said before the fight, I'm going to break him down and then I'm going to knock him out. And that's exactly what he did. I thought it'd be all over within 3 rounds. But, you know, when I got in the ring after, because I was shouting, just, you know, anywhere, armed. I got in, he went, what are you rushing me for? And I was like, oh, sorry. So, but like, obviously he knows what he's doing. And actually now quite pleased that we got the rounds, to be honest.
Yeah, I saw you said that. Really random, I was on Twitter and I saw Jake Paul's mum said she wants to get in the ring and punch you. She said she doesn't like the smug look on your face. She is promoting her book, so I'm not sure if she wants, you know. But did you see that? What did you think of that?
No, I was very sad because I couldn't have been nicer and more respectful of Jake and what he's done. And I think Logan's amazing. I think he's an incredible athlete. And I shook Jake Paul's dad's hand in the ring, you know. And if I would have seen Mum, I would have said, all right. But I think over the years, we've obviously had our beef, and she probably don't like me anyway. And I am probably a little bit smug. I wasn't smug after the fight because I would have been more smug if it was all over in a round. Yeah. So, no, I give Jake respect. And, sorry, Jake's mum doesn't like me, but if she can send me...
Duke McKenzie offered a more technical assessment shaped by his many years in the sport. He explained that his analysis came from professional insight rather than personal opinion, lending credibility to his conclusions. McKenzie suggested that the result spoke for itself, leaving little need for extended debate. He highlighted Joshua's calm approach and clear tactical edge, noting that the outcome accurately demonstrated the difference in experience and ability without any need for embellishment. In his view, the bout served as a clear example of a veteran fighter using strategy and discipline to control a less seasoned challenger.
Like, you know, like when you got a fly on the windscreen and you're trying to swat it, and you're trying to swat it and you miss and you keep tapping, and then eventually, bang, you get it. That's exactly what that fight was. Jake Paul didn't get in there to win last night. He got in there to survive. And he didn't do a better job of surviving. He sold the fight brilliantly. That's what he is. He's a salesman. and he's a YouTuber, influencer, call him whatever you want. So from that perspective, he did his job, but he never got in there to win. He just got in there to got beat up. I'm glad Anthony Joshua done a number on him. This is why boxers are boxers, YouTubers, whatever they want to call themselves, influencers. They should stay in their lane and fight people that they're supposed to fight on their level. This guy was never on Anthony Joshua's level, and Joshua did what he needed to do, did what he had to do for the sake of boxing, and blow this guy out and just knock him out.
What about the fact that Jake was able to land on him clean a couple of times? What did you make of that?
Oh, listen, you can't get into the water without getting hit. Fortunately for Joshua, that guy can't break an egg. So he was never in any danger. He was always going to get hit back. I mean, it was 6 rounds. Anthony Joshua was always going to take at least 1 or 2 shots over that 6-round period, but it was nothing to hurt him. It was nothing to bother him. And like I say, this is all about getting AJ's confidence back. Okay. If Jake Paul fights, if he fights KSI or KFC or whatever his name is, then those two are evenly matched, aren't they? They're evenly matched, and then they could fight, and then because they're evenly matched.
Lawrence Oswe examined the matchup from a different perspective, focusing on the inherent risks of boxing. He reminded audiences that inside the ring, a single error can quickly change the direction of a fight, regardless of reputation, preparation, or promotional buildup. Oswe emphasized the sport's unpredictability, noting that even a brief lapse in focus can carry serious consequences. His comments served as a reminder that boxing goes beyond entertainment, representing a high-stakes competition where careful preparation and respect for the sport's dangers are crucial. He also noted that the public and media response to the bout fueled widespread discussion.
For surviving, but he wasn't trying to win. Every once in a while in between running, he would throw a wish, hope it would land and do some damage. He was just hoping that Santa would come early and give him a present, a gift from the god. There's a reason in the jungle that a gazelle sometimes outruns a cheetah, the fastest animal, because fear makes you survive. But unfortunately, this baby gazelle ran out of steam. For AJ, it was like a light sparring session. You could see he didn't fear anything coming back. After the fight, he looked like he'd been for a light jog. AJ knew the constant pressure was breaking him down, because trust me, when you've got a guy who can punch stalking you, it's tiring, because you can't switch off. One mistake and you could end up asleep. AJ's a massive puncher. Even the punches that weren't landing clean were doing damage. Any heavyweight landing in 10-ounce gloves isn't fun. Again, credit to Jake. He got dropped, but he kept getting back up. That big head is durable. Did Jake do what he said he was going to do? No. He's a businessman. He sells the dream. At no stage did he really try to win. It was a bank robbery in broad daylight. On paper, he shouldn't have been there. He got in and kind of gave it a go. He risked his life for the fans' entertainment. Was it brave or stupidity? Well, regardless, I still think he's been great for boxing, bringing new eyes to the sport. Just look what he's done for female boxing. The undercard was female heavy, giving them opportunity, giving them a platform. Personally, I think it's great. For Jake Paul, the fight was a win-win. Once he's healed up, he can come again. But next time, fight someone at your level, light heavyweight or cruiserweight. And he did show heart, and I did see some improvement, despite the fact he was mainly running. He did show good movement and decent defence. People saying it's embarrassing for AJ. No, it's not. He just got his best and easiest payday. He can laugh his way to the bank. Nobody can honestly say if they were AJ, given the opportunity, they wouldn't take it. Come on, AJ.
Luke Thomas became one of the most outspoken critics of the widespread acclaim Jake Paul received after the fight. He argued that much of the excitement around the matchup was exaggerated, noting that the narrative overstated Paul's achievements while downplaying Joshua's tactical control. Thomas stressed the importance of assessing fights based on skill, experience, and risk rather than being carried away by hype. When combined with Joshua's deliberate strategy, expert analysis from figures like McKenzie, and insights on the sport's inherent dangers from Oswe, this perspective provides a full understanding of why the fight unfolded the way it did.
Kind of feeds into the story of him being perhaps a little bit better than we sometimes think, although I don't really co-sign on that. Let me make the point. The first point is, I think people are overreacting a little bit. A little bit. People were suggesting when I got on social media that this was like the biggest farce they'd ever seen in their life, and that this was, how could he fight like this, and this was a disaster, and Joshua should have got him out there earlier. There is probably some evidence to suggest that I don't think Joshua was carrying him in the sense of, hey, they coordinated this ahead of time. But was Joshua really stepping on the gas? No, I don't think he was really stepping on the gas. There were times I think he clearly pulled his punches, partly because Jake was squirmy and rotating on the outside. Also in part because I think, as I indicated on Friday, he's watching this guy with pretty bad footwork.
Surviving the fight adds to the narrative that Jake Paul might be slightly more capable than some give him credit for, though I wouldn't fully endorse that idea. My main point is that people are overreacting. On social media, some were calling this the most shocking performance they had ever seen, claiming it was a disaster and that Joshua should have finished it sooner. There's some indication that Joshua wasn't going all out, not because the fight was coordinated ahead of time, but because he wasn't fully pressing the attack. At times, he clearly held back, partly due to Jake's evasive movement and partly because he was observing a fighter with awkward footwork, literally stumbling in the ring.